Hi, this is Brian. Welcome back to the Optimal Living 101 Masterclass series. Today I'm thrilled to be chatting about Optimal Sleep 101. How to get a great night of sleep to optimize your energy, mood, and mojo. This is our first class in an energy series we're going to do, an Optimal Living energy series. Eating, moving, sleeping, the core fundamentals we come back to all the time. We're starting with sleep for a couple different reasons. First of all, this is my number one self-care habit. This is what I've identified as the thing that keeps me most plugged in. And research shows that 50% of Americans are chronically sleep deprived and/or they're going to have a tough time falling asleep tonight. So my intention with this class is to share my top 10 favorite big ideas. Hopefully at least one of them will resonate with you and help you have a better night of sleep tonight, and then compound that 4% improvements over time and truly rock it. As always, we'll start with a quick overview of our top 10 big ideas, then we'll dive in. The first big idea we're going to look at is to start with why. We need to start with why. We're going to look at it in a general sense and a specific sense. We'll talk about circadian rhythms, the history of light, and the effect of lack of sleep on your mood, energy, and mojo. Then we're going to connect it to you. How do you feel when you get 9 hours of sleep? You're on a vacation on a beach somewhere and you get 9 hours of sleep. How do you feel the next day? Versus when you get 8, or when you get 7, or when you get 6, or when you get less than 6. We want to make the connection between a good night of sleep and how we perform. It's not rocket science, but we need to understand that sleep is a necessity, not a luxury. That's how James Maas, one of the world's leading researchers on sleep, puts it. Too many of us think that sleep is a luxury, but it isn't. It's a necessity. The second big idea is the idea that we need to make our purpose, or ikigai, or legacy, more important than being entertained. Let's be honest. Too many of us spend too much time up at night watching something on TV, or being online, or whatever. We need to make this simple distinction that our purpose needs to matter more than our desire to be entertained. We need to have a bigger reason for getting up than for staying up. Talk about that, connected to Purpose 101, etc. The third big idea is sleep kryptonite. We're going to look at the top 10 things that science says get in the way of you having a great night of sleep. The fourth big idea is digital sunset, which I think is the number one way to boost your sleep. Screens, digital screens, emit a type of light that just isn't helpful for you getting a good night of sleep. Now, that's probably not news for you, but we're going to talk about a strategy on how to deal with it and recap some of our ideas on the history of light. Remember, we had fire for a very long time. That's pretty mellow. Then we had a light bulb 150 years ago. That's pretty interesting. And then we had a TV less than 50 years ago, and less than 10 years ago when light became ubiquitous through our smartphones, etc. But guess what? Back in the day, if we were up and just cruising around at night, we were prey. We weren't meant to be up at night. We want to be nice to our melatonin and quit jacking up our cortisol, not only all day long, but all night long as well. The fifth big idea, curfews. We need to look at that kryptonite, and then we need to set curfews for things like caffeine, alcohol, big meals, exercise, and work. We'll talk about some specific strategies for each of those. The sixth big idea, we need to make our room a sanctuary. Cool, dark, and mellow. There's an optimal temperature range we want to find. We need to realize that our skin actually has light sensors in it. Your skin can, in some ways, see. It's very important that it's dark in your environment and mellow. No TV. We'll talk about a connection between TV and depression. Not a good thing. The seventh big idea, we need to flip the off switch. The number one reason people give for why their sleep is disrupted is anxiety or stress. You need to know how to flip the off switch in your mind so you're not ruminating about things when you should be sleeping. We'll talk about how to do that. The eighth big idea is buffer zones plus PM rituals plus consistency. You can't go, and then just shut down. Not how it works. You need to create a buffer zone. Slow down, calm down via PM rituals. We'll talk about the Latin root of the word ritual, ritus, which means a proven way of doing things. Very cool, ritus. You need to know what your PM ritus is. And then we want consistency. With 4% improvements compounded over time equals magic. You don't want to vary the time you go to bed and the time you get up too much. We'll talk about why. The ninth big idea, naps plus active rest waves, plus repaying debt. Naps are awesome. Did you know that we are the only animal that tries to get all of its sleep in one chunk? Every other animal on the planet is multiphasic, and we used to be until the Industrial Revolution. The Romans actually had a block of time in the day, the 6th hour. They called it sexta. That was meant for napping. You may know it as siesta, but it's disappeared from our culture since the Industrial Revolution. We'll talk about that and how rejuvenative naps are. I like napitations. And then active rest waves. We need to make waves. We need to oscillate, not be on all the time. Train ourselves to learn how to turn off. And there are active ways to do that physically, mentally, socially, and spiritually that we're going to talk about. And then repaying debt. A lot of these sleep researchers say that our sleep debt as a nation is a bigger concern than our national debt financially. Because our sleep debt is impacting our ability to actually create value. It's huge. Individually, we need to repay that debt as soon as we can. We'll talk about whether it's better to sleep in late or it's simply to go to bed earlier. Big distinction between those two. And then the 10th big idea is our target. Our target is simple. We don't need to change our entire lives. We just need to add 1 extra hour of sleep. That's what the researchers say. 1 more hour of sleep for most people would do the trick. The ideal range is 7.5 to 9 hours of sleep. Plus 1. We're going to talk about how to figure out where we get that hour, identifying what's important to us, identify the distractions, and going from there. And then the 11th bonus big idea is going to be gear. We're going to talk about some of the stuff you may want to integrate into your sleep routines to rock it some more. I've got 10 things that I personally use, and Alexandra and I personally use. She is my gear queen. So we'll talk about that. Those are our 10 plus 1 big ideas. Let's jump in.